Alright, the output's fine. The question is, where's it coming out at? Ah, see? No, it didn't come out in the same one. You're finally back? Christ. God damn it. Well, that's fine. We are live, though. Alright, so let me end that event.
On which platform?
We are on YouTube, because I don't think Twitch takes too kindly to, political stuff. Yeah. Maybe they do, I don't know. Wait, is it coming out of the light of the correct? Yeah. Maybe they do, I don't know. Wait, is it coming out of the light of the
I'm heading to the bank. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Well. Prom, you there?
Yep, yep.
Gotta get an audio check real quick.
Hi, 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 hi.
You are just eternally quiet, my guy.
Oh,
I got you. Try now.
hi. Hi, everyone.
I'm just gonna set you to 200, try that.
That's some loud.
It says it's coming out just fine. Alright. Alright, shall we plug the stream to everybody? Also, Prom, I think we're going to use this as a, bit of a statement on recent controversy.
Sure.
If you're picking up what I'm putting down. If you're, getting what I'm...
Yeah, I'm getting your shtick.
Okay.
Your shtick.
You always get my shtick.
Exactly.
Yes. Shall we link this to everybody and get started?
Sure.
Okay. I hope Daps... Oh, Daps already posted it. Hey.
Ooh.
He better not be posting this on, goddamn... What do you call it?
Me on a hurricane chin, so...
I mean, I'll put it there. There.
Okay.
You'll plug it everywhere. I wish I could make this window larger. I thought there was a way to do that. I'm probably just stupid.
You know more of this than me. I'm not technologically savvy at all. Couldn't even find the microphone button at first, man.
Oh, if you want a link to the stream, if you care. I wouldn't play it on your phone, but...
I wouldn't mind having the link, no matter what happens in the debate in my direction. Wouldn't mind being able to look over it and see again what we talked about.
Yeah, we'll probably start around 4:50, 5 o'clock. Param, you better not go AWOL again.
Where are y'all? Because it's like about to be 7 over here. Like,
you're central, then?
Yeah. I'm in Texas.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. Hold on. Haha. I fixed it.
Oh, good job, sir. Don't know what you fixed, but good job.
Oh, hello, Ryan. We're about to get started. First, we're gonna have a small debate, likely between myself and Shaman's point of view. And then Prom and I are going to discuss some recent controversy. And it's going to be a great time.
Swinging.
Probably going to be discussing some things about Shane Killian and Esoteric Entity, which people might find interesting. So if you know anyone who would be interested in that, go ahead and shill for us, would you?
Also known as everyone.
Yeah, no, this is going to be pretty big, I think. This won't be the official video, but I think it'll be pretty big.
That comes later.
Yeah. Fun in the sun. Yeah. Oh. All right. So, topic for today was going to be a few laws that Shaman was proposing in Twitter. Do you mind recounting what those laws were?
The things I was mentioning?
Yeah.
Literally, I just was advocating a concept for a government that I feel that I didn't find a term that actually fit the definitions I used. And I'm willing to be proven wrong. This is all a seek of the truth. But I'm calling what I'm believing in libertarian centrism. I believe that you have the ability to have a government that acts more like a business that you can opt to be a part of or not at the age of whatever age we would decide you have the mental capacity to make that decision fairly. I don't believe in forcing someone into a system that they never had the chance to be. Okay. And that's basically what I was implying, and then questions and things came at me and it got really confuddled really quick because I couldn't respond fast enough for Shiny.
Right. My question is what the difference between a government and a business is.
A government in itself would be kind of like what Shane says. It's got the monopoly over force. It has the authority without question, without a check on it, to be able to use and apply force to its means as it sees fit. And
right. Does it make sense then to have a government which is also a business?
Yes, I do believe this. But okay. I do believe that a government based off of the NAB, being a business, can be something that is voluntary before people decide to be a citizen or not, and
Well-
still be able to enjoy the protections of an established thing like that. Even if you're not putting in money to the business and getting benefits out, like playing in the stock market, you still can buy their products. So you can get a benefit from a state you're not a part of because it has protections built in that people are paying for. Now, you won't be paying taxes, so you're not going to be getting any handouts. You're not going to get any of the things that someone that's paying in would get.
I don't see
that's
why
what-
you would say that this government would be based on the non-aggression principle. You've just defined it as a monopoly upon force.
Because I said that you would have to redesign a lot of what a government is built for. by
Well, you're
making a
redefining
government
what a
based
government is then. You've just said that you're advocating
Yes.
for a government, and then you've defined a government as being a monopoly upon force. I don't think you can then base it upon the non-aggression principle. That's contradictory.
To the way you just put it, yes, that was contradictory. I'm using the word government because I don't have a better word.
With all due respect, it's not the way I put it. That's the way you put it.
I know, I said you're right. That was a contradiction. I'm saying I use government because I don't have a better word for it. I've made a series of videos describing the how to transition our government as it is in America now.
Well, then it's not a government.
To this. Yes, I don't. Wait, what would the word be then, Toast? I actually don't know, and I'm being honest. I don't know what would be a better term for what I'm saying than government.
Well, what you're
Because-
you said that it was a mix between a government and a company or a business. My
Yes.
response would be, why not just have businesses? So what you're advocating isn't anything newer than just business.
No, in a way, in a nutshell, and forgive me if these words imply something completely different, but it almost seems like I'm advocating a business with a decision to be able to join in or not.
Well, that's any
Like a-
business.
True, but why can't our government be that way is basically what I'm proposing.
Right. All you're proposing then is to turn the government into a business.
Yes, I'm hardcore privatization. That's the
So
libertarian
it's
part.
just a business. It's not a government business, it's a business.
No, and I'd be willing to discuss certain things like I honestly don't know how we'd pull off. Okay, I've looked into privatized police, but privatized military has me curious. I know some very intelligent people
Right.
that spend a lot of time thinking about this and debating it out, but I have not had the time to look those videos up.
I'm curious as to why you conflated. Okay. So the government serves various purposes right now, yes? It has various
Yes.
services.
Various services, hardcore fucking corruption. We're in a
Well,
corporate
right
tax-
now, we're just considering that it provides certain services. It provides military, it provides roads, it provides police, whatever you want to get into.
Yes.
So, my proposition is, we don't honestly want to get rid of these services. Some of the services are very good. In fact, most of them. Right?
Agreed.
So, what you're proposing is that they become privatized.
Well, if I had to say one example of privatization that backs my point the most, the government mail service sucked utter ass up until.
I'm not
privatized
disagreeing
company-
with whether or not we should privatize it. I think we should.
Oh, then.
What I'm
what was the
asking is
question?
why then you can get into opting in and out of these businesses, right? You got into
Okay.
during the Twitter discussion. You acknowledged that a child would be opted in until the age of 18.
No, what I said was the parent's decision would be held over the kid until they're 18. That literally means they're not signed in. It means that the parents could get support for the kid. Like under the current system right now, we have various programs that will supply money for kids. So if your kid's going to grow up and become 18 and decide, or whatever age, to decide not to be a part of the system, well, your
Right.
parents, if they decided to be, we can't tell if the child, when growing up, is going to opt out of the system or not. So we should not deny the support of the parents who have that child as a responsibility.
This is where I disagree with you fundamentally. I don't believe that age has anything to do with it. Right?
But I never
Why?
said age.
What
I
is?
just-
Well, you specifically said 18 both in the Twitter discussions
Well,
and you
and
just
I said
restated it
that
now.
because, and I said also in the Twitter discussion that 18 is the accepted age as decided by whatever means. I'm not saying that every human in the U.S. decided 18. I'm
Right. So
saying that
then
that's
there is no arbitrary delineation.
no. I
So
believe
there's
in
no
the
reason to
objective
bring it up.
truth of it. I believe in the objective truth about age. There was a 9-year-old in Vietnam that acted more like a man than the medic around him. This kid was amazing, and he was a man in my opinion, and he was like, throughout the whole time, he was 7 to 9 years old during his time in war, and he was very much in mind, body, and action a man. He was just small and frail because he
Right.
was
So
still young.
you bringing up the age first off is my first complaint. All right. You're the one that brought it up.
Then I would concede. I have
Okay.
no objective
The
reasoning for a decision on age.
That's fine. The second thing I was bringing up was you did mention that the parents would be making the decisions for their child until, of course, they're capable of consenting.
Yes,
Which
I
isn't
believe that if you were an infant, your parents should almost have the obligation to take care of you if they went through and had you. I'm
right.
not saying in
The
realms
issue
of
is not
accidental.
whether or not the parents can consent for the child. That's something I actually advocate.
Then what is your issue?
The problem occurs when you say that they are inherently within whatever programs their parents advocated for
Not them,
when
as
they're
much as they're
capable of
taking
consent
that into consideration.
until they opt out. Right?
No, what I'm saying is
You've created
there's-
this situation of implicit consent.
I believe you're misunderstanding me. What I'm trying to say is that your parents are in the system. And if your parents have a child, being you, then they can get support for you. This holds no bearing on you. There is no, you have to sign yourself out of the system. There's only, you sign yourself in. If you sign yourself in, free of will, you can later on decide to opt out.
Right.
You don't have to stay.
Now, suppose a contract exists which would bind the child past the age of that they're capable of consent, right?
Okay.
Past that moment that they become capable. Can the parents opt the child into that contract?
I don't believe in anyone being able to opt you into something without your consent. And until you can give consent, you can't give it.
Well,
So I
right.
see-
So if that reasoning holds, then you would be able to opt a child into such a contract, would you not? Because the child, when it's signed, the child's not capable.
What I'm saying is, until the child is capable of signing, no one can opt them into it. No one can sign something that forces them into it. What
Until
can happen is
they become capable? I don't think that... I think you have this backwards. Right? I don't think
How
that...
do I have it?
I don't think that you should be able to sign anyone into a contract when they are capable of consent, but if they are someone
I'm
you
not
are
saying-
a guardian of, right,
But I
meaning
didn't
that they
say
aren't
that.
capable and you have to impose that upon them, then you are able to sign a contract
Literally-
with them in it. The issue becomes when the contract extends beyond that.
Well, that's the problem. Not once am I saying or advocating someone before they have the ability to consciously make that rational decision. They're not in a system. Now, they may be counted as a child under somebody, but that's for the people who signed in. That has nothing to do with them. If your parents are paying for your food and your clothes and they need help to be able to do that, that doesn't put you in the system. That just has you marked down as a digit. They have one child. That's it. Your name, nothing. They should not have you in the system, period. You did not consent. So in no way, shape, or form will there ever be a contract in my system where you are stuck past a certain age or anything. Upon you being able to make that rash decision, which for one, I don't really know how to decide that besides letting that person just decide I'm ready to make that decision. I see no reason to force anyone into it. I mean, if you're under someone and you couldn't consent, I don't think your parents would not go, hey, we have a medical problem with our family. We need that type of assistance or something. I don't see any reason why that would immediately implicate the child being in the system. It only implicates the people who already willingly, without force, signed themselves in. And they're asking for support for their child who is under their care until they can consciously make decisions on their own.
Right. Do you mind if I bring up some of the claims you made on Twitter?
I don't mind, and I will say I'm sorry if I worded them wrong, because what I'm saying right now is what I mean.
Well, the purpose of this is to discuss what you had, the claims you've previously made. If you're going to retract all of them, then
I'm not retracting all of them. Not once tonight have I specifically said that the child would be implicated in the system because the parents.
Well, you did on Twitter.
On the specific line on Twitter, if I do remember correctly, I said that while you were under your parents' care, they would have decisions that could get support for you. I may have worded that wrong, but I in no way, shape, or form meant that you would be opted into the system because your parents signed themselves in. This was a completely voluntaristic system, and if you cannot consciously volunteer,
just to clear this up, you misspoke when you said that they can opt out. They can opt in at 18.
Well, what I said is, yes, what I mean is they can opt to go into it. They can decide to sign this document, and then later on, they can sign without problem to get out. This is a voluntary idea. If you want to be a part of it, you can. But if you want to live in a purely anarchist society, live on, do your own, and create all the systems and everything that y'all want to do, I see no reason to prevent that. But I also see no reason to prevent people from willingly signing into a system that they put money in like a business, and if it profits, they have return. These benefits would not be rights. These would be privileges that if the system is succeeding, they are there.
So I think I think what you're imagining here is simply not worded correctly, I suppose, but firstly, we established that it's not a government in the sense that you've provided, right?
Yes, and I'm very sorry for using the word government. Like I said, I don't.
Well, when the issue is when we brought this up, when we brought this up in Twitter, you had consistently mentioned that anarchy isn't without laws, and that it's a few other claims you had made.
Well, yes, I was saying that because the libertarian part of it is going to be the aspect of where you have that voluntary decision to be a part of the state or not.
Additionally, I don't think it's correct to call it a centrist position. Right?
Are you describing a centrist position from the American political scale?
In no political scale do I believe this to be a centrist position.
What do you describe centrism?
Well,
because I look at it perfect centrism based off of having libertarian in front of it.
Well, does centrism allow for the monopoly of force?
This is
something which is
in itself, yes, but libertarianism in a true form would be the lack of and moving towards that goal.
So it's not a centrist position; it's a libertarian position.
But why can't it be? Because libertarian has the aspect of wanting to get rid of government entirely, and I have certain elements that
there are certain libertarian sects who believe that having a minimal government is preferable. They call it minarchism.
Yes,
are you familiar with that?
If I was to describe elements of how I'm making accomplishment, like literally when I get the chance to record and upload this, I'm gonna label out almost $4 trillion in cuts, and I'm gonna I'll go ahead and give one thing away about it. I literally am very into technology and the idea of how it works. I'm not savvy with it personally, but it's funny how we're spending almost $1 trillion on education, and I figured out less than $40 million cost to provide education.
Well, I'm not particularly concerned with whether or not the government's turning a profit or not. What I'm concerned with is their use of coercion. right? Their use of slavery, to put it
Yes,
succinctly.
and check this out. My education system makes it to where you are not required to have a high school diploma.
Then
to
why
get any
why bring up the costs?
Because of the cost of, like, what part of this little business idea. See, I know you can go to a library, you can go online, you can learn everything you want. But picture online education where all you need to do is put in your information, log on, and we have a free education system from
'Cause,
kindergarten
well,
all the way to
Again, the costs are irrelevant as long as it's free.
Oh, it's voluntary, I think you mean.
Voluntary, yes.
Yes, it's voluntary, and that's what I'm saying. Part of it being a part of the benefits that you would get is because if you are going to be a part of this, I'd like to back our currency again, get back on something like a gold standard, and then actually keep evaluating that money, keep increasing.
Well, hold on. You're using government policy to bring about something which is voluntary. Do you see why that's inconsistent?
Actually, I feel like I'm applying voluntarism to a state that's meant to be a business instead of that. So if you put in money based off of
Well,
using a
we've
currency,
established that it's not a state that you're advocating for. You're advocating for the lack of a state. You're advocating for a business. So my question is, why do you intend to use state policies in something which is not a state?
well, I guess I'd say that a state policy enacted by a business wouldn't necessarily be a state policy as much as a business policy based off of a pay-in program that you would opt into based off of the system set up.
Why
Completely
is it
voluntary.
relevant what you enact as far as policy concerns if it's a business?
It's only relevant to the weighing of the pros and cons of joining the state or not.
It's not a state.
Joining the business agreement or union, in effect, if we're going to go
Right,
with
but whether or not people join your business or what you propose as a business is irrelevant to whether or not we should get rid of the government. That's my point.
Well,
So
then I
the
would
method that we go about this is irrelevant to whether or not we should be going about it. Right? And I'm not criticizing your method specifically in and of itself. I'm just saying it's not relevant to...
Okay. Are you asking me then why I see it as a positive to diminish the state as
Well,
it is?
I'm asking why it's irrelevant to what you're advocating. Right?
I've been mainly pushing certain points of what I'm doing because it's what I'm about to talk about in videos. But if you're asking something like that, I must ask, are you asking my reason and what's the merit of this system, or what's the merit of taking the government down or transitioning from this state to
It's not about... Don't disagree on that.
Okay. That's what I say. I think I'm missing what you're asking. I'm not trying to come off like dumb or anything. I'm just saying I honestly think I'm missing what you're saying.
I'm going over what you've claimed in Twitter, and you've been fairly consistent in what you've been saying, at least on Twitter, but you seem to have changed it now.
I promise you, what I've meant hasn't changed. How it came off very well could have. I'm not disagreeing with it.
Do you not say what you mean?
I think I fell a little more than most when...
Because if you can't say what you mean, I don't think we can hold a debate.
I mean, I think he's saying that his text
What I'm saying
ability
is,
was
I
out
think
lacking.
I'm not using terms that you agree with. And if we can decide to agree on terms, yes, we can. But I feel like I'm using terms because of your education that are not as coming educated. And that doesn't mean I don't know what I'm... means I'm not easily able to translate what I'm trying to say. And so I'm trying to bridge that gap.
Alright, I have a new proposal. What if a communist wanted to form a commune?
I believe that if people wanted to form a commune themselves, they should have the right to do it. I just do not believe they should have the right to apply that will and decision on other people.
I agree with you. Again, I don't see why then you need to bring up your business. Right? Why is it particular in the context of at least the ethical debate? Why is it more convincing? So I think it needs to be separated into two different discussions. One is discussing why we need to get rid of the state, and the other one is, all right, what do I think could be implemented right? And that second discussion is necessarily less important, I think. Because there are a multitude of ways that we could go about it. What should be important is whether or not we go about it.
And I agree. But it seems like we agree on whether we should go about it. I've just been coming at it from transition.
Well, again, I just said the transition is irrelevant to whether or not we should.
I get that thing. Whether we should, am I wrong? I agree that we should, at minimal, decrease.
Okay. Oh, well, I believe that concludes this part of the stream. It doesn't seem like we disagree on too much. I would recommend looking into, I suppose, who'd be a good source on this, Prom?
I don't know. It's
Shane pointed me at Tom Woods. Is that someone y'all'd recommend?
I'd probably recommend someone like Charles Lane. He's someone who I recommend to a lot of people.
honestly,
Okay.
from what I'm hearing, you're basically describing an insurance firm rather than a government.
Right.
You know, you get like certain
Yeah.
services, like education paid for you.
I
by
just don't think you can
the-
universalize that.
I'm not trying to, though. And
Well,
that's
that's
the
fine.
point. I'm not trying to. If you agree to sign into this, then you're going to be getting the benefits out of it. I'm not forcing it at all. The point is, if you want to opt in, you can. If
Okay.
you want to sign out later, you can. No fight.
Sure. Just I think you worded it badly on the Twitters.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Like, I think I got frustrated with, like, I kept repeating something with Shiny, and I don't think she was seeing what I was trying to say.
Yeah, because
And
the way you were
talking
saying
like
it,
this made it so much easier.
yeah, the way you were saying it on Twitter was not the best. But yeah, no, in this you've played your point. I think yeah, but calling it a government is strange. Other than that, it's fine.
Well, let me explain. My reason for calling it a government is because I'm starting with a government and I'm transitioning. When having this debate, I didn't get myself out of that mindset.
Right.
And so I guess it threw me off.
Okay. Sure.
But, like, the series I'm releasing, I'm literally going, so here's what we can cut from the budget first. And then here's what we can do to start fixing it and going through. And by the time it ends, you have that thing I'm describing. But I don't see a way to just immediately transition from what we have to something else. I believe any way would be a transition. The system's too Loctite, too messed up, and people are too far divided. It would be transitional, not immediate.
Oh, alright. Well, at any rate, Prom, do you mind sending out the word that we're going to start the more controversial part of the stream?
I think that's up to you, Mr. Toast.
Well, I'm kind of streaming. If I went through all the servers and typed it out.
What do you mean?
Just write down in those servers where I've posted the link that we're going to be discussing, ISO and, Shane.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a fun one. Does Jim want to join? Because he has some particular knowledge concerning this.
Do I have permission to stay as an outside perspective?
Oh, certainly.
Well, thank
Sure.
you, sir.
Where do
And
we even
again,
start, Prom?
But again, real quick, thank y'all again for the opportunity.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Toss. So, have you asked the man Jim Jesus?
Yeah, I asked Jim in the chat, and I will hit up his DMs. Did you send him a link?
Where is the link to the
Let me grab it.
Oh, he'll be home in a bit. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're just, yeah. So how do you feel about the ANCAP community, Toast? How much quality would you say?
How quality is the NCAP community right now? Well, there's some problems. Quite a few problems.
Some problems? Really?
Trouble in paradise. This all, for me, I got involved into this back during the, which debate was it? Oh, it was the one Shiny was in. It was the abortion debate, I believe.
Probably.
If you haven't already watched that video, Dapperton and Shane Killian both have videos on, I believe it was a 2 versus 2 debate on abortion, where I had given in some input to one of the people who was involved in that. And during this debate, there were some claims that were made which are quite startling. Should we...
Hurricane Shane Killian.
Right, should we play the clip if we can find it?
I don't know. I think we can just describe what happened because we have the
Right.
CFC coming down the pipe.
Right, essentially what had happened was Shane had made the claim that nature is somehow coercive. Right, and this is something that I typically have to debate against quite often, because it's not a true statement. Right, it holds no validity as far as I am aware of. He later then claimed that if something did not have a will, that you couldn't defend yourself against it. Right, which is also something which is fairly absurd to say. I believe the specific claim he made was that you can't, according to his opponents, you can't defend yourself from a tornado, which is fairly absurd.
No, it wasn't it a hurricane?
Was it a hurricane? It might have been.
Pretty sure it's a hurricane. That's why he's Hurricane.
All right. Well, obviously you can defend yourself against a hurricane because it doesn't have rights, right? It's something which doesn't have a will. It is nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he also bring up the ravenous pack of dogs, or was that someone else?
I think that was someone else, but he brought up the sleepwalking person. And...
yeah, you can't defend yourself from someone who is sleepwalking, which is, again, absurd. Because aggression doesn't necessitate will, right?
Yeah.
If, I'd also say that a hurricane isn't acting out of aggression, but in the case of the sleepwalking person, they still have a will, right?
It doesn't necessitate intent. It necessitates a will.
Well, yes, aggression necessitates a will.
Yeah.
I suppose that's fair. So I retract.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Destroyed. One libtard destroyed.
Right, and you can defend yourself from any form of aggression or from things which don't have a will, right? We might not call it defense, but you acting against them is ethically neutral. Coercion implies an involuntary interaction with a sentient being, not with natural forces like gravity, right? So you can't coerce gravity, nor can gravity coerce you.
Really?
Right. And the same applies for a rock rolling down a hill or, a hurricane. If I were to start a hurricane and send it in your direction, that's a different premise altogether.
Yeah, but that starts with ill intent of someone.
Well, it's not about intent. It's someone acting. It is the action.
Well,
Right?
Directly.
Nature is inherently not an actor. Right?
Yeah.
No, it just happens.
Right, it's a phenomena. Even if you say forces of nature, or I believe I had an argument with a man who stated that you can say that a hurricane can drive you from your home, or a flood can, drown you. What you're doing is it's a phrase of speech. You're making something which is necessarily inanimate.
Yeah,
right.
Personification does not necessarily define will.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, coercion specifically.
It's a use of terms,
Um,
floral use of terms.
right, and you can't say that nature can coerce you. It's to say that even gives into the idea that a lot of communists, socialists, and the like purport, and that is such that work or starve is not a choice, and that the starving portion of it is a use of coercion, right? You can't quite cause another man to starve by your action, unless you lock him in a cage, of course. But then we don't say that that's ethically valid, right? You starving because we don't help you, that is inaction. Coercion being defined as an action, you can't claim that that is coercive because it's non-action. Non-action can't be coercive. Right, denial of service can't be coercive. If the only food source that you own is on the other side of my property, and I refuse you access into my property, doing so isn't coercing you. Right, it's simply denial of access to my property. So that's most of what I got into with Shane. It's very odd that he of all people would bring this up.
I can agree with that. I haven't known him as long as you, but it definitely seems like an odd angle to come at things from what I've listened to of him.
Prom, do you recall why he brought it up?
Oh, because the idea was that the fetus does not act. It has not, done an act. And then it went into this whole thing. And
yeah, and he was trying to provide proof that you could defend yourself against things which haven't acted, which no one was contesting to begin with, or at least shouldn't have contested to begin with. I don't contest that.
He specifically went to things that which have no will, which isn't the same as things that have.
That's true. Because we would say the fetus does have a will, but hasn't acted.
Yeah.
Right. Its existence, I suppose, if you consider that an action, is the only action it's taken. But that's not something it acted. That's
the only action there.
Someone else caused it to exist.
The only action there would be homeostasis, which isn't really, an outward action.
Right. Moving on to ESO then. Quite a bit's happened, and this is where I'm gonna let Prom take over.
What do you want me to say? What's my...
let's start with the... let's not get into the new information we've discovered. Let's start with the actions from last night.
Well, okay, so Midnight Phantom, also known as Hysteric Entity, also known as Fatboy Zach, has a very strange gay look. They try to advertise themselves as a quote-unquote whore, even though they look like some sort of rodent got AIDS. It's outright worrying, at least. And they decided, hey, you know what a good idea is? I'm going to advertise my quote-unquote server on everyone else's servers. So, he posts advertising on Angry's tiny server, and then he posts advertising on Shane Killian's. For literal prostitution, which I'm sure everyone wanted to see. Of course, people didn't want to see this, and they complained. Shiny got in an argument with him on Angry's server, and then he bitched out and left. He was still doing this, however, on Shane Killian's server, so he obviously hadn't considered that, hey, where there are more people probably don't want to see someone advertising for prostitution. When previously he'd said that someone being 17 was okay to advertise. Fun story. And then Shiny calls him on Shane Hillian's server too, and he complains for a little while and then shuts off basically, and then a calm descends upon the server. Little do we know that this is not the end. No, this is only the beginning. A few hours later, the composition's died, and Midnight Phantom decides, you know what I'll do? I'll go in and try and be very angry at Shiny Silver for talking bad about my gay lover, right? So he goes in, he throws out some disses, and he's very angry, and he makes some statements that he says that Shiny is lying, and that Shiny Silver is dating Jim G. Of course.
That was something I found very interesting.
Of course, none of these are true, and it's quite sad that he's stupid enough to not see that Jim is like a 40-year-old bald dude. Oh my. So, after a while, he gets dissed out of that. He pseudo loses that one. Eventually, the conversation just dies. And oh boy, in comes a man, a wonderful man, a man of unspeakable quality, by the name of Voltaire. So Voltaire, he pokes the bear. He pokes Midnight Phantom. He invokes the rage of the cringy internet autist. Of course, this is something you should never do. Never bait the autist, because Midnight Phantom spurgs out to the nth degree, and
this is where I got involved. I might be able to take over a little bit.
Yeah, go for it, Toast.
So he ends up contacting the mod by adding him or messaging him about 8 or 9 times.
Mod, by the way, to do his bidding, basically, to remove posts that he doesn't.
Right. Do they know each other, by the way?
I don't know, but normally is an awful lot.
I won't get into that because I was involved into some controversy we might get into.
Toast, you not saying this would be dishonest, so I'm going to have to insist. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, my experience with him has been him banning me for shilling my own content after he told me to shill my own content. So he also said I was being cheeky for doing so. Or, cheeky wasn't the word he used. I think he was using, clever. Right. Anyway, when I joined the server, was as Voltaire and, Shiny and Iso were getting into it. Iso ends up adding the mod, 8 or 9 times, trying to get his attention. The mod shows up, starts removing all the posts that, that Shiny and Voltaire had made, or at least admonishing them, while simultaneously claiming that everything that they were posting was either personal drama, only on the side of Shiny and Voltaire,
or the fact that Midnight was involved.
Yes, as well as was violating another rule against personal harassment, and there was one other rule. I can actually bring it up. I believe it was don't be an ass rule. Which he later pulled on me, which, to be fair, I will concede that I was. But after I was directed to do otherwise, as the rule states, I did otherwise. So, basically do what Shane or Ahmad says, or you won't be here long. And I did do what they said. And that's what got me banned, so...
that was basically code for shut up, you realise that, right? Because Anomaly is an awful mod.
Oh, yes, yeah. But I did act as he directed, so I don't care what the code was. I followed the rules.
Sure.
But do you want to get into what Iso and Voltaire were discussing?
Well, it started with Voltaire making the astute observation that everyone else has made months ago that midnight ought to be. Of course, everyone else was like, no shit.
I think you cut
But,
out. Could you restate that observation?
So he made the astute observation that midnight ought to be in prison. Of course, everyone else was like, no shit. We've known this for months. He claimed to be editing some very questionable material. But, yeah, and then, well, he didn't even do that. He just sent a video of the Cops theme tune, right? Big whoop. And Midnight Spurg's out. He goes into full Spurg mode. Spurgamus Maximus. I believe I called it phantomic neuralgia because everyone else around you suffers extreme pain at how utterly retarded this man is. Yeah, in short, Voltaire didn't do much. Anything else to add, Toast? Mr. Toast?
Hey, sorry I'm late. I was too busy manipulating Mr. Dapperton with my girlfriend Shiny. So here I am. I'm done.
Okay, so Jim, we were just talking about Midnight Phantom. Fatboy. What other ones has he went by? Esther145. What's the old child?
I'm sorry. What? You're cutting out of quite a bit.
Am I?
Yeah.
Well, let me check me on that. Jim, be entertaining.
I'm not sure what you're asking me to do.
I return.
Okay.
What are you guys discussing?
Nothing. He cut out. I told him he was cutting out, and he just disappeared.
Oh, Prom did?
Yep.
Oh, I hope you've been entertaining. So, what do you know about this whole situation?
Not much.
Okay, I'm back, I think.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
I mean, I read the server logs. I was kind of in the chat when you guys were talking about it, but
So,
I was much
Midnight
more interested in
Phantom.
something else.
Or his original name. Even Midnight Phantom's a slave name. His original name is Cheetah Zero.
Oh, there's another one.
I'll post that in the chat for everyone.
All right.
There you go. Just enjoy. Yeah.
Which one is it in?
It's in the YouTube chat as a resource.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's not coming up on YouTube, sadly.
Ah.
Have you been shadow banned on YouTube? Because the last time you tried to post something, it wouldn't come up.
There it's in chat.
Oh yeah.
Unless he's a moderator, he can't post links. You have to give him the little wrench icon.
Tallytail says government is DDoSing you all according to Midnight Phantom. All right.
I
Okay.
feel very DDoSed. I'm very offended.
Well, if you're being if there's connection problems, that means you're being DDoSed. And if you're being DDoSed, that must mean you're being DDoSed by the government.
Naturally.
Oh yeah, some of the mental gymnastics taken on by Midnight Phantom are quite astonishing. I was involved in a few of their streams, and I believe they were trying to recruit me at one point. I'm not certain on this.
Moderately hilarious.
Right, and they invited me onto these streams to kind of get me on their side because they'd seen me with Daps, and they'd also seen me in a few of the servers that they were involved in. and by they I mean Iso and Filthy Heretic. And
I'm the heretic.
They made some of the most absurd claims, and when I contradicted them, they
They kicked my man from the stream.
Well, yeah, first off they kicked me from the stream, and then halfway apologized for it later on, without either of them claiming guilt. And they had said that maybe it was just my disconnect, maybe it was just me disconnecting, but I'd actually taken a screenshot at the time, which stated someone has removed you from this call.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I was behind the scenes manipulating you, telling you that it was Esso who did it. It was Esso. When I said
really
I don't know because I wasn't there. Why would I comment on such a weird thing?
I didn't even know you that well at that time, to be quite honest. I think that's what introduced us. Well, not introduced us, but I think that's what got us talking more, Jim, was him claiming that you were manipulating me in some fashion. And he later claimed that there's something which I believe he calls Iso derangement syndrome. And I'd like to correct him on that real quick. I think it's... Go ahead.
It's not really Iso derangement syndrome. It's people who correct him on...
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say, is it's not Iso derangement syndrome, it's people not wanting to be absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Right? They don't want to see you keep falling down, mate. So...
I do, it's funny.
Well, I don't. I don't want to see him fumbling around like he's been, and it breaks my heart, you know? I don't know.
Wow, you're so caring.
Well, it's a lot of fun, too.
I just don't like being lied to in my face constantly in such a way that it's blatantly obvious that he's lying. And it just insults my intelligence. Like, I'm not that stupid. Don't.
Well, I mean, you must be if you're dating Shiny.
Oh.
Oof. Jim, you got
him there.
Then again, you guys were saying that I was 40 years old.
Wow, did you catch
I mean,
that
basically.
one?
Yeah. I'm not even 36 yet. I don't turn 36 for another 7 days or so.
Old man, the future is now.
Yeah.
I agree with this.
I agree with that.
I've never even seen the 70s.
All right. So we've discussed. Is there anything we want to talk about regarding Filthy Heretic, or is that old news?
Just a joke. It's just...
All right, moving on.
I don't think most people have anything to say about him.
Yeah, I don't have... again, disclaimer, I don't have a problem with Shane, I don't have a problem with Iso. As far as I know, I don't have any drama with them, except maybe what just happened with Iso and the Killian server, but if you really think that's drama, then, I don't know. Go watch mainstream media, it's a bit more dramatic.
Well, clearly I'm manipulating you, so,
Such drama.
I mean, I couldn't guys let you have a stream without me. I had to come on here and make sure that you guys are pulling the party line, the Jim Jesus party line.
Jim Jesus party, best party in America.
And I got to use my trad thought in order to manipulate you even further. So
Yeah,
you think she's coming to Estonia? Quite the contrary. She's coming to Vegas.
Oh,
Hate to
okay,
bust
yeah,
you.
I get you.
Do you have that post where they claim that?
Oh yeah, it's
Do you mind
send
putting that in here?
Sure, I'll do it in a second.
Just so we can show people that we're not just...
Okay, hold on.
Alright, I don't think I've particularly seen these ones, that's why I didn't talk about it. I'm sure I've seen them, I've just not.
Oh, they're in. Jim's server. I can't remember where I put these ones.
I'm gonna check the archive.
Yeah, check the archive.
Yeah, no, Jim
I'll
has.
bring it up.
Quite the extensive archive.
Is
There's
Iso
too many
in the
stupid
server?
things said. No, there's too many stupid things
Oh, I'll get out of
that,
it.
that have been said that
There you go.
I needed to catalog it
There you
because
go.
it became like a Molyneux situation where it's like, well, he said this, prove he said this. Let me dig through 100 million hours of podcasts and videos. I just have it all saved right here.
F off, Shiny. You and Jim were made for each other. She was talking mad crap about Kitsune and I. Friendly reminder,
How's-
your
how's
boyfriend
that?
is a doxer who's more interested in stalking me than he is you. That's why nobody likes you or Jim.
I like Jim.
Yeah, I just
My
love how
God.
he just presumes that if someone doxes him, it must have been me, because reasons.
But it wasn't Jim. And the only reason that he's quote unquote doxed, even though no one fucking cares.
Iso had a relationship that didn't work out. Do you want to touch on why it didn't work out there?
Oh, because he cheated on his ex with a male, quote unquote.
So yeah, it didn't work out. That's true, but
Didn't work out
I don't
to
think
end.
it's. I don't think it's
It's
quite
not quite that simple.
that simple. I think there are some details missing here that it's not lying by omission,
There are
but
a few steps missing in this.
right. You mean like 99% of everyone else in the world? Well, this is where you differ from 99% of everyone in the world, right?
Yeah, no, more. I'd say that very few are trying to date prostitutes, wannabe prostitutes from other nations. Like, that's a very small demographic.
All right, I'll try to make it bigger for everybody. There we go. No, I don't want to print that. There we go.
Jim laughs as he knows he has won.
That is the laugh of a man who has successfully...
A big PP.
Come to the dark side, Shiny.
Yeah. No, he's just corrupting everybody. I guess he's a true Santana-ist.
Santana is.
I agree.
Only for the holiday season, then I'll go back to being a Satanist.
Oh, okay.
Hail Santa.
Oh, I thought it was Santana.
No.
I mean, you're old enough.
Oh, okay.
Got him with that one.
Oh.
I remember that.
Oh.
I remember that. I'm gonna manipulate you extra hard next time.
Please, Daddy.
Ooh, woo. Bird.
Now we sound like Issa.
Nuzzles
Anyway.
Well, Jim, this stream is not enough quality yet. I believe we have some reading to do before this stream is capped as quality.
Oh man.
Well, unfortunately, I do have to end it soon.
You have to end it all soon if you're going to read these things.
That is also correct, and to avoid that, I think we're gonna have to end the stream.
No fun, Toast. No
Wait.
fun.
Soon
Need a link.
we're gonna be publishing Cause for Concern pretty soon. I swear it's in the works. We totally
it's
haven't
somewhere.
been we totally haven't been putting it off for 4 days.
We just can't find the files, dude. Don't worry about it.
My
I'm
hard
always coming in
drive-
going like, hey kids, how's the project coming along? And they're in there playing video games. Darn kids and their video games and their hula hoops and their Nintendos and their
Stop manipulating us.
Yeah, Jim.
If no, you know what? That's the reason it's been delayed. Jim is manipulating us because
Yeah,
he
I
doesn't
know.
want this to come out because it
Jim
interrupts
wants
his
to
master
be-
plan.
Jim wants to be the only one who has dissed both Shane Killigan and Midnight Fan.
The main reason why I don't like these guys is because they don't understand fashion. In my day, we used to tie an onion to our belt, which was the style at the time.
Oh.
Why?
I think that's the only thing. It's. I think this is the ramblings of a madman.
Jim, did you get any new whiskey?
No, not yet. Probably not tonight.
Oh, shit.
I think I'll just enjoy me a nice glass of absinthe instead.
That's
All right, I'm shutting
so-
the stream down.
Okay, goodbye.
We're off
Worms.
topic.